And thus, my journey of Berserk comes to an end. Or, my volume reviews of Berserk comes to an end. It's kind of sad, you know. I've been reading Berserk since August 11th, 2014. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's that long, but as a reviewer and as a person that's, sat down and read these volumes multiple times and been done a review weekly, it feels very strange to know that this is going to be the final video I make on Berserk for quite a while, or, the final video I do as a volume review, because let's say, more chapters come out on Berserk, I'm not going to be doing a full volume review anymore, because I'll be up to date. And so, it's sad. It really is sad to know I'm pretty much caught up with Berserk. This is the final full-length volume review I can do on this series, and I just right now I'm at that moment where I'm sad, because I love the feeling of when I was reading Berserk. I could just grab the next volume and I could read the next chapters and I would have like no stopping point. That's how I felt when I owned the volumes and I was reading through them. And to be at the point now to where if I wanted to continue reading as much as I wanted on Berserk, I can't, because I'm at that point to where I am caught up and I must wait on Kentaro to write more chapters. I know there's a couple more chapters after this volume, and some have told me that I should, do a lot of reaction to the latest chapter, which I will, when I get the time, I will actually do that. But the point of it is I'm caught up, and it's just been a long ride. It's been a very fun and long ride. And I truly love this series. I mean, I'm just going back on memory lane real quick before I dive into, this review, because I need to for a second. When I started Berserk, I didn't think it would be this good. Like, I knew it was good when I started. I was like, holy crap, it's good. But I did not think Berserk would become my favorite series of all time. I have currently read. It's become my favorite manga. And I don't say that lightly. I really don't. I really don't say that lightly. There's a lot of weight behind that. And it's amazing. The writing of Berserk has stayed so consistent even to this very volume. It is just unbelievable how Kentaro, as a writer, can do the things he has done in this series. And to see the writing and the storytelling of Guts, his journey as the Black Swordsman, the different things he's accomplished, the way he gets the bitch slap constantly on his life, he never has a good and decent life, so many other aspects to the story, it's unbelievable. And it's sad, it's really sad to see how some don't know about this series, like they don't truly understand the quality of Berserk. The quality of this series is unimaginable. Like, if you read this series, it spoils you. Like, it spoils you because you get so used to good quality. Because now, after reading Berserk, I'm not going to deny, I want to be honest with all of you fans of Berserk, ever since I have read Berserk, it has made me look at certain aspects of storytelling a lot differently. It really has. And it's made me look and become more aware of symbolism, along with how foreshadowing is used, and the way the art quality is used too, and the way the tones of the art just come out of the pages. Berserk has helped me with this. And also with the story of Berserk, it's unbelievable, too, to see how the story of Berserk is just so tragic. And you can barely find a series nowadays that is like Berserk, that is this tragic. I mean, some can argue and say Tokyo Ghoul is tragic, which it is in its own different aspect. But when it comes down to the true tragedy and the true great storytelling when it comes to foreshadowing and the writing, I personally have to put my hands down and bow before Kentaro-sensei for this manga. I do. So, before I begin, I'm about to start the review, the volume review, a lot of Chibits are going to ask me, okay, so Chibi, what is next? Now that you're done with Berserk, you're officially done, you're on the final volume, this is the final review of the volumes. What am I going to do next? So, if you Chibits are not up to date, I want to let you know, my goal, now since I've caught up with Berserk, is to start a new series. And Berserk, honestly, was an experiment for this channel. It was an experiment to see if I could review volume type series on a weekly basis. Like, try to review Berserk weekly, a volume a week, and to have like a certain set schedule for Berserk. Even though it was, not an ongoing series, like, I was just reviewing volumes that were already out a long time ago, and I was doing it like in a manner as if I was a episodic or, a manga chapter reviewer. I did an experiment with the volumes of Berserk for future things I could possibly do. Like, the next series I want to start is Vagabond. Now, a lot of Chibits have recommended a bunch of series to me, saying, like, there's so many series out there that have unbelievable quality to it. And is Berserk the best series of all time? I can't say that, because I haven't read everything. And even then, I will still probably never read anything. I could probably read everything for the rest of my life, and I'll probably never reach the end of all the manga and anime that's out there. So, I can't necessarily say Berserk is the best thing ever, of all time. But I can say, at this moment, it's the best thing I have currently seen or read. And I'm willing to bet there's something out there. Something out there probably I've yet to discover that might beat Berserk. But who knows? And the next journey I want to take after this is Vagabond. I ordered the first volume of the Viz Big edition of Vagabond, and it will be in tomorrow. Now, I don't know when I will be starting up the volume reviews of Vagabond, because I want to collect a couple of volumes of Vagabond, like, you know, get them stocked up, because if I review a volume of Vagabond, I can get to the next volume, and so forth, so on. Personally, when I do this type of series reviews, I like to actually have the physical volume on hand, for I can, you know, look at it, read through it, and stuff like that, and it allows me to support the series. And so that's my overall goal. When I do this type of stuff, I like actually having the volume and I'm reviewing these older type series. And Vagabond, I want to do the exact same thing. So that is the next series I have on schedule for the reviews after Berserk. Now, I don't know if I will start Vagabond next week or the week after that. I might start Vagabond when the next season of anime starts, because it'll give me a little bit of break time to actually catch up with other series I need to catch up, like Gintama and stuff, and it'll give me time to focus on other things I need to finish off before this upcoming anime season begins. So, if I'm going to start reviewing, you know, Vagabond, which I will start reviewing it, it's the next thing up on the list, it'll be when the next anime season starts. So I just want to let you know. So, anyways, getting into this volume. Sorry I've sidetracked quite a bit. I had to get that out of the way because, I mean, you all need to know. And this volume of Berserk, it's an incredibly simple volume. It really is. That's kind of why I waste a lot of time talking to all of you, talking about my plans, because the volume of this volume, it's very, very simple, and you can honestly say it's a short volume. Like, I read it really fast. Compared to the average length of Berserk volumes, I read this quite faster than the other volumes I've read recently. And that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make this volume bad. It doesn't make it worse than any other volume of Berserk. It doesn't. It just, the way this, you know, volume is done, it's just like, it's simple. The way the storytelling was in this volume is very simple. It was straight to the point, and it was also settling these plot points with the Sea God in this volume, along with setting up new plot points, which I do want to dive into. So, the first half, I guess, of this volume is Guts taking down the Sea God. That's the first half of this volume. And if you look at the sweet kick-ass cover right here, you see Guts in his Berserker armor, and he's, like, inside the Sea God, and he's, like, about to cut the heart. So, the thing is, the first half of the volume is straight to the point. Guts, he's wounded. He's using the Berserker armor. He's inside the belly of the beast, pretty much. And he is badly, badly wounded. And with this fight, as I expected, as a reader, and as I've been talking about for the past couple volumes, it's very obvious something very negative was going to happen to Guts. And after this fight, we clearly see indications that Guts is affected badly by this previous fight he just had with the Sea God. Because when he's laying in bed after he's been treated by Farnese and Shurike, he looks up into the moon, or the candlelight, and then the moon. He looks into the candlelight, and you see this black, dark aura all around his eye, like it's his vision. The panel is his vision. You just see nothing but pitch black and a slight little light, like a glimpse light, barely anything you can see, like you can barely make it out. And when you see Guts' eye underneath that panel, you see the shape of the light he was seeing through his vision. So it goes to show you Guts is pretty much blind. He's like almost completely blind after this fight. And on top of that, he is shaking uncontrollably. Like, you see his hand shaking like this. His hand's just shaking, and he closes his hand, but he's shaking. So, the prophecy that the Knight of Skeletons said to Guts way back is coming to fruition. So, Guts is probably going to be blind. We don't know exactly how his hearing is at this moment, because inside the Sea God, he was so freaking wounded after the seagull. Like, he was hurt so bad he couldn't see, he couldn't hear, he couldn't feel anything because of the pounding sound of what the seagull was doing. And it, like, shattered his eardrums. I'm willing to bet it shattered his eardrums and also shattered, you know, his eyesight, like, crushed his eyeballs in because of the pressure. To see how Guts has lost majority of his motor skills, it's kind of sad. It really is. But, I mean, I expected that as much. I really did, because he was using the Berserker armor once again while already injured, and then on top of it, he gets even more injured in this fight. And so, Guts, the next time he dons the Berserker armor, could possibly be his last he'll ever see the light at all. And I'm sad to say that. It really is sad to see how Guts has pushed himself to this point in the series. He's, like, at the point to where he can't possibly be fixed unless the Elf King saves him. And that goes into the next segment I want to talk about. So, while Guts is sitting there laying by himself, and he realizes his body has been completely affected badly, like his body's really bad, he looks off at the moon, outside the window. And as he looks out at the moon, he sees the boy that has been following Guts for the past 2 moons. And he saved Guts for the past 2 moons, from Guts from doing these violent acts. Like, he saved Guts from attacking Casca twice, and he also saved Guts' life from inside the belly of the beast, the sea god, in this volume. So, this boy appears once again floating in the sky. And as this boy is floating in the sky, Guts looks up and sees, like, these root-type things all over the moon. And you see the boy look at, like, this stream-type looking thing. It looks like a stream. And the boy dives into it, and he zooms completely past. He just goes fast. It's like some form of wormhole dimension thing. So, with this little segment of the chapter in this volume, it makes me assume this is what Griffith used when he was fighting the Emperor. Like, you remember how I said 3 volumes back, Griffith and his entire army appeared out of nowhere, like they just appeared out of that broken down battleship out of fucking nowhere? Well, I'm assuming that is what Griffith used. He probably used something very similar to what the Emperor, or this, you know, fairy dude, I don't know why I was saying Emperor, what this, you know, fairy Emperor Ambassador, or whoever this dude is, probably the reincarnation or whatever of the Elf King dude. And so, you have it to where he is watching Guts, and he used this, like, teleporter thing to go across. So, I mean, you have to wonder, did Griffith use the exact same thing? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but we have to assume it might be something different, but who knows? Overall, that segment, it just goes to serve and set up that the theories behind that child being Guts' child is almost completely shattered in this volume. Now, it's not 100% confirmed. Like, it is not 100% confirmed whatsoever. It's not. It's not confirmed. It's like, you know, someone is watching over Guts from the Elf Island. It's not confirmed that it is the king from Elf Island. It's, like, not 100% confirmed. So we can still make our theories that it might be Guts' child, but with that, you know, revelation in this volume, you can kind of, you know, back it up with saying, yeah, it's most likely, you know, an elf watching over Guts and trying to help him out to the Elf Island. But the big question is why? Like, why would the Elf King or whatever, if that is the Elf King, want to help out Guts? Like, what has Guts really done? Unless, since we found out in the volume that, like, there's certain beings on the island that can see the future, kind of like, you know, somewhat of the God hand and probably, you know, the idea of evil, since, you know, that some beings on the island can see slightly the future, and might see the future of whatever is going to happen to Guts and Casca, and he might try to save them to help them out in their future. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. The other segments of this volume, you also have it with the Marrow. The Marrow is helping out Guts and company on the ship and leading them to the Elf Island. So now, the journey is pretty much reassured. Like, they're safe, and they're going to be making it to the Elf Island fine. Because unless, you know, this giant-ass, like, 10 sea gods come out of nowhere and attack them, they're pretty much fine. So, Guts and company are about to make it to the Elf Island. And I don't know if they have made it in the couple of chapters that, you know, are already out. I think there's like 7 more chapters already out past where I'm at. And so I don't know if they've already made it to the island or not. I have no idea. I hope they do. Oh god, I really want to see. I want to see what's going to happen to Casca when she meets, you know, the Elf King. I want to see that, you know, dialogue between them. I really want to see what Casca's going to choose and what direction she's going to choose after she regains her memories. Still, the point of it is, the journey to the Elf Island is fine. It's just 100% reassured they're safe. And that moves into the next point. We move into the flashback with Guts. Now, at the end of the day, when it comes to this flashback, I don't really know how to take it. I don't. The main points you can pull out of this flashback in this volume, there's two things. You can pull it out as if this little fairy, this fairy of the flower, spirit of the flower, I think her name is Chibi in the Japanese translations, her name is Chibi, but the spirit of the flower, she sacrificed her life to save Guts. And Guts survived as a child in a certain point in his life because of this spirit. He wouldn't be around if it wasn't for this spirit sacrificing herself. She really wasn't aware that she was sacrificing her life, or maybe she was, we have no idea, but Guts was saved by this spirit. And at the end of the day, Guts survived because of that, from that act. And Guts questions himself after the end of this flashback and asks, was that a dream? Was that a dream? Was that real? Was that reality? Like, what was that? He questions himself after this happens. It's very sad, because that right there is just another big pimp slap to Guts' backstory. And I'm just questioning what the real importance of that backstory is. I really do. Now, another thing you can pull out, that's probably the main important thing you can pull out, is at the beginning of the flashback, you have it to where Guts doesn't care where he dies. Like, he states in his mind constantly, like, I don't care where I drop dead. If I drop dead, I drop dead. He doesn't care at all. And this also goes to show you how at the beginning of the exact same volume, when Guts was inside the Sea God, he's like, oh, I guess this is where I'm going to drop dead at. So it was kind of a correlation with that scene, but there's more to that scene in the flashback if you think about it. You have it to where Guts' father states to him, like, you shouldn't trust anyone on the battlefield, not even your own father. And so this makes me assume that Guts might not eventually trust his own companions on the battlefield. So that's what I feel like that flashback was trying to hint towards. But besides that, a very tragic backstory, just demonstrating more shit that Guts has to deal with on top of his already terrible life. That moves into the final segment I want to talk about. Now, the final portion of this volume, straight to the point, Rickert is making his way towards Falconia. He's making his way towards the capital. And while doing so, he meets some of the Band of Hawk, or the new Neo Band of Hawks, and they help him out. And we get to see the Hunter working with the new Band of Hawks, trying to save people outside in the forest, helping them out, bringing them into Falconia, and which then leads us into finding out about these crystals that are scattered all around Falconia from, like, demons. Like, these crystals protect everybody from these demons, like different demons, evils, and stuff like that. So, a very safe place, but it's very, 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 very fucking scary if you start thinking about it. Like, so many human beings are being gathered into one place, surrounded by these apostles. Like, anyone else feel like this might become another reenactment of what happens in the past to the city? Like, you know how the city fell once before, and we got to see a glimpse of it in, you know, volume 9 or 10. We got to see, you know, how the city sunk underground or whatever, and we saw a bunch of people that looked like they were sacrificed. Why do I feel like all the people in the world that are going towards where, you know, Falcone is, are going to be sacrificed? Because apostles are walking side by side humans. It's not very reassuring. It's very fucking scary if you think about it. So I'm very worried. I'm really, really worried that everybody being piled up into this capital might lead into another eclipse or something. Or an eclipse that might be able to summon the idea of evil out of the darkest depths of the abyss. Because that's what I'm assuming. It's way too similar. Like, you had a lot of people inside the city and it sunk. You have it where Griffith is leading the world. He has apostles inside working around humans. It's really, really eerie. And I'm scared to find out where this is really going, because that's the way it's looking. That's really the way it's looking. It looks like everybody that's going to Falconia might be sacrificed in the near future, because all the apostles being around, along with, you know, everybody being piled in together into this one area of the world. And that's pretty much it when it comes to this volume of Berserk. Very simple volume. That's pretty much it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about this volume of Berserk? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? How do you feel about this being the final volume review I'm going to be doing? You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.